What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jake Waxman, Tyler Lava, let two guys talk sports. Let's go. Well, the dream is dead. No three-peat for the U.S. women's team, and to the surprise of not many of us. Or you could make the case to the surprise of nobody who's been watching the World Cup. This has not been the same USA women's soccer team that we had seen in Canada in 2015 and France in 2019. And like I said, they were a team that was just too young and just too old. But I will say, things kind of did go down differently than I expected. I thought Sweden would be the aggressor in that game, because I did watch some of that game, and it was actually the U.S. that dictated the tempo of the pace between them and Sweden. That was a game that the U.S., if they had any offense, they would have won that game. But offense has been a big problem in this World Cup for the U.S. women's soccer team, and when you can't score goals, you can't win. And the ladies failed to score goals when it mattered, and here we are. Of course, it came down to penalty kicks, and at one point the U.S. was up in penalty kicks, and Megan Rapinoe, she makes her kick, the U.S. moves on. Guess what happens? She missed the kick, or shanked it high, and gave Sweden life, and guess what? Sweden was able to take advantage of that and win in penalties 5-4. So, when you got all sorts of problems, like what I mentioned in last week's video, when you got all those problems, it's a recipe for not being able to pull off a historic three-peat. But, hey, it's time for this U.S. women's team to make some changes. I think, keep some of the veterans, but veterans like... Look, it's easy to appreciate what Rapinoe and Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan. They did great things for this U.S. women's soccer team, but they're getting older. And they're in their 30s, so might be time to be So I can't imagine. So Rapinoe's done, but I can't imagine Alex Morgan's going to be playing much longer. So you got to think about, okay, do we allow her on the Olympic team, or we done? Wouldn't be surprised if she's on the Olympic team. Now, I guess to close off this subject, there's a lot of people, believe it or not only just across the world, but in the U.S. who are happy that this women's team lost. And all that's due to politics, of course. And everybody was excited, and everybody in the U.S. who was rooting against this team, they were delighted to see Megan Rapinoe miss that penalty kick, to be honest. So I'm not going to get into politics, but I'm just stating something that we've known. I mean, this team, this is a team that maybe, to be honest, in the eyes of many, did not appreciate the country that they were playing for. And you know what? Pride, where the pride goes the fall, as they say. So just my thoughts on why we're here, why the U.S. got eliminated, and why they're here now and having to think about the future instead of the three-peat. Okay. So now, speaking of the Women's World Cup, I suppose now I'm going to focus on the teams that still have a chance. And here are teams that I think look really strong. Right now, I like England, to be honest. I know they escaped... I'm trying to think who it was. So, okay. They were playing Nigeria. Okay, that game ended up in a tie in regulation and in extra time. And then England went on to win in penalties, although Nigeria gave them quite a scare. But despite that, I still really like England's chances. They got a very deep team. And honestly, they work really well together. So plenty of depth on that England team, and also the chemistry is very, very good. And Netherlands, it's another team that I think could win it all. Japan, can't count them out based on experience. And also, can't overlook teams like Sweden and France as well. I mean, there's plenty of good teams right now. Anybody can win this World Cup. But for reasons of like the chemistry, based on what I've seen, chemistry and the depth, I really like England to win this. I think England's going to win this World Cup. Although it's close I think it's going to be between them and the Netherlands. I could see those two teams advancing and either one of those two winning. But I think England's got something then for this tournament. Even they had a scary game versus Nigeria, but sometimes it happens. You have tough games. some nice matchups. All those little bits and pieces. So that's who I think's gonna advance. So that's kind of what I'm feeling in terms of like who's now gonna win the World Cup now that the U.S. is out of it. Although I didn't think the U.S. was gonna win it this time because they weren't looking like the U.S. team of old. All right. So now we'll take a break, or we'll shift gears from the World Cup to IndyCar. So we got 4 races left, 4 to go, and right now it's Alex Palou. My good, just thoughts after the crazy race at Nashville. My goodness, Alex Palou. I mean, the last few races have been trials for him. There's no doubt, or trials is an understatement, and yet he keeps coming through and minimizing the damage. Or in this case at Nashville, not only did he minimize the damage, he beat his closest competitor, got a podium, and extended his point lead to over 80 points with 4 races to go. While it's not comfortable by any, well, it is a comfortable lead, but while he hasn't clinched the championship by any means, if Alex Palou could really step it up in these last 2 races and continue to best his competition, he probably will. It would not surprise me if he clinches the championship with 2 races left, or 1. He could lock it up early, especially if things continue to, or if the luck has just fallen his way, as Scott Dixon said. So, hey, but to win these IndyCar championships, you got to get lucky, and Palou, the luck is on his side. He hasn't been as good as of late since winning 4 out of 5 races in the first half of the season, or that streak. So what I meant to get at is he's won 4 or 5. There was a point in the season, like between the road course at Indy and into Road America, where he won 4 out of the 5 races, with the Indy 500 being the one he didn't win. And he hasn't been as strong since, but still, he's still strong though. And still though, he is looking. It's gonna be tough to take the Astor Cup away from him. And also and then the other thing that I'm thinking about is this IndyCar season's winding down. Several drivers and even one team who doesn't have a win, and it's shocking to me. Like, we're still waiting for Will Power to get a win. I know he's having a championship hangover, and that tends to happen, and he's still got a chance to win a race, but he hasn't really been competitive all that much in the last few races, with the exception of Iowa. And then Scott Dixon, who's been consistent all season, but he really has not been a factor to win. So, will he get a win? And then there's Arrow McLaren. Early in the season, it looked like they were going to win and have their best season yet. And now, here we are. And then the second half of the season, something has changed about that team, and not for the right reasons. Their race pace is off. Their strategy is not where it needs to be to win. They've had good results, but they're just not fast enough to win a race. So, Arrow McLaren looks like they may go this season without winning a race. And I don't expect Rossi and Rosenquist to win a race, but it would be kind of shocking if Pato doesn't win. Although with the way the performance has been, and same with the strategy, Arrow McLaren is staring down potentially a winless season. We'll see how. I mean, there's still 4 races left, and we got Indy where Arrow McLaren was really strong. Alexander Rossi too has been strong at Indy, so this will be his best chance to get a win, and that's the side of his last win, the second Indy road course race. So all we can do is find out and watch what more unfolds as this IndyCar season winds down. 4 races left, and not much time to get a win or catch Alex Palou for that matter. All right, on to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 9th of August, 2016, American swimmer Michael Phelps, the great one in terms of Olympians, Michael Phelps swims a minute 53.36 and 36 seconds to win the men's 200-meter butterfly gold medal at the Olympic Games in Rio. He beat Japan's Masato Saki by .04 for his historic 20th Olympic gold medal. That's a lot of gold medals. That's why they call him the GOAT of all Olympians. Michael Phelps, a historic day for him on this day. Back in 2016, so 7 years ago. All right, sports fans, that's it for this week's Waxon Wednesday. If you got a question for me, leave it down in the comments below, and good chance I'll answer it next week. And Sports fans, thank you for watching this week's Wax on Wednesday. Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports, signing off.